Okay, first off, shite name for a band. Okay, that's done
Okay,
and over with. All right.
gotcha.
So,
Let me note that.
songs and feed back to them. Make
Yeah,
sure
I'll
you
get back
do.
to that shortly after this. I'm scheduled to call them anyway, so.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, peeps, Audiophiles, isn't it? My name's John, his name's Andy.
Mhm.
Love is a verb. Love is a doing word. Fearless on my breath. Gentle impulsion shakes me, makes me lighter. Fearless on my breath. More than another time, etc. But we have business. We do. We have
Mm,
business to get to. Andy,
get down to it.
reveal your business to us.
Right, if I had a nickel. So the band I'd like you to check out is a band called God Lives Underwater. Have you heard them before?
No.
Okay. Well, if you didn't know, that's where he resides or she. And the song is called From Your Mouth. So, uh, you know, entertain me. Go off and give this thing a listen and come back and let me and everyone else in the audience know what you made of it.
Will do. Is that just me? I'll go back to that in a second. It's quite a nice start. It's got that fat sort of synth bass. And it kicks in with this beat. It's kind of feeling late 90s. Yeah, it's almost like a bit of, I don't know, Money Mark in there or something like that. And also, I don't know why, when the guy started singing as well, I got a touch of the Dandy Warhols, as I say. It's got a slightly, he's got that sort of coolness to his voice. It's slightly detached, like laid back, but laid back like he doesn't want you to get close, kind of thing. Yeah, interesting. And then there was just that yeah there. I'm guessing it was a sample. It wasn't just me, was it? That's just sounded like someone with Tourette's. You know, everybody deserves a chance.
But it only bothers you. The things I do and make your blood run cold. There's a lot of things that no one likes, but I want answers now. Must be all confused somehow. Did you say what I heard about? I've heard a million things, gossip being said to me. I don't wanna believe it till I hear it from your mouth. Tell me why are you friendly to my face? Why I mean.
Yeah, I enjoyed that shenanigans there. Always good. This has got a feel to it. It's got a really nice sort of groove to it and a good feel. It feels kind of like a bit, what's the word? deconstructed almost. There's elements all there which they're putting together. Um, I wouldn't say this is the sort of song that you would like, yeah, this is my favorite song ever. But this comes on and you're like, yeah, this is a good sound to it. Haven't heard this in ages. I've never heard this, but that's the sort of song that, yeah, this is cool. I like it. I like it. I like the thumbnail as well, actually. The font's quite cool. And then the sort of graphics looks like it's from some cautionary sci-fi novel anthology, actually, from the 70s. Sort of Philip K. Dick kind of stuff. Um, Anthology makes sense because this feels like it's put together as well. Um, yeah. No, interesting.
is barely nice. But when I'm not around, yeah, you like to put me down. Embarrassment is what I get. There's a lot of things that no one likes, but I want the answers now. Must be all confused somehow. Did you say what I heard about? I've heard a million things, gossip's being sent to me. Don't wanna believe it until I hear it from your mouth.
Let me tell you something.
I want the answers now. Must be all confused somehow. Did he say what I heard about? I've heard a million things, gossip's being sent to me. I don't wanna believe it until I hear it. I want the answers now. Must be all confused somehow. Did you say what I heard about? I've heard a million things, gossip's being sent to me. I don't wanna believe it until I hear it from your mouth.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
Yeah, interesting. It sort of feel like a mood piece to me, and it sort of set my mind wandering listening to this. The scratching and the sampling I quite enjoyed, although I think at the start it didn't really do much. It was all right. I mean, no DJ Shadow, but then I think it's around about the 4 minute mark. It started to actually get something. There's various reasons why you would do sampling and sort of that sort of scratching. Um, it's to create different sort of rhythmic structures. Sometimes it's a sneaky peek into your influences and also other stuff you can introduce into there. And it just started to get interesting in terms of its sort of rhythmic pattern or semblance. And then it just sort of petered out, which is a bit of a shame. It felt like it was just finding its feet. And that sort of that sort of synthy part at the end was like a very slow down, tired siren of a toy car or something. That again is quite sort of hypnotizing. There's almost a little bit of lethargy to this. And I presume that's intended. I have no idea what he was singing about, so that's probably something to do with it. But overall, it was a nice mood piece. It kind of, yeah, it felt like 90s to me. Yeah, put me in mind of some other stuff. So yeah, I quite enjoyed this. Decent. Right, let's find out some more about God Lives Underwater by going back and speaking with Andy.
All right. Well, welcome back. And what say you on your experience giving this song a listen?
Okay, first off, shite name for a band. Okay, that's
Okay.
done and over with. All right.
Gotcha.
So,
Well, let me note
songs.
that.
And feed back to them. Make
Yeah,
sure
I'll
you
get
do.
back to that shortly after this. I'm scheduled to call them anyway, so.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I think one of them wants to subscribe. So it starts with this big fat synth line, not unlike something from the 1970s, a la Fred Wesley and the JBs that we listened to previously. Famously, the Moog line was sampled from Mr. Brown by Public Enemy, amongst many others, but I don't think this was sampled. It sounded like it was being played. Could be wrong. You know, sounded real to me.
Yep.
So then a what I call a fruit and nut beat kicks in, along with a synth, which has these like simple notes in progression, and it has like a sister synth. I think it's a different. It could be the same instrument, but it's like a half siren noise. It's like the other half of a siren that goes woo woo. It's like do woo do woo. Anyway, singer comes in with that laid back vocals. And this is sounding late 90s to me. I'm kind of reminded of various stages of different bands and stuff, and there's some I didn't grasp at the ether, you know, who they were, but Dandy Warhols definitely comes to mind. And also musically, and I don't know if it's because we talked about this off camera, but Money Mark as well, sung about it, just, you know, and it's probably just in my head.
Yeah.
But yeah. But so musically, it does some like production techniques, that this dropping out of focus and coming back in. But overall, it's fairly constant the way it goes along. And the interest is provided for the most part by the drums and percussion, which is great. And that fat synth line that tends to sort of wander around like someone dipping out of a post office queue. Yeah, I really liked it a lot, actually. And what it does is it creates a really nice mood to let your mind wander.
Yeah.
I see this as a real mood piece and almost a period piece as well. I could be wrong, but it's putting me in that place and time. And because of that, it is a really good platform for the other shit going on, the sampling and the scratching techniques. And so quite near the start, we get like this nano sample, I call it. It's a half explosive syllable that sounds like someone with Tourette's has involuntarily ejaculated in the corner of the studio. As they would say in the jingle for Chorley FM that went coming in your ears. Anyway, go back to the song. Just to mention the thumbnail, I really liked it. I like the font for a start. And I thought the graphics on it was reminiscent of a 1970s sci-fi anthology. It had a touch of the Philip K. Dick's about it. Sort of like an everyman in a weird situation going strange. An anthology seems right because this has a sort of a deconstructed feel to the song, like they're taking it apart and they're putting it back together, which I actually enjoyed. And again, it lends itself better to this platform for the electronic shenanigans. So the first tranche of sampling comes in. It sounds really nice with his scratching as well. Slightly Beastie Boys, and that's probably where Money Mark
Yeah,
went into my head.
that
It's
makes sense.
interesting because there are a number of reasons why someone would include scratching. Um, it could be because that's all they do, obviously. So that's another reason. It could be a cynical reason. Why? Because I think people will just enjoy that and that people will buy it because of that. I don't think that's the case here at all. But what it can also do is create really interesting either rhythmic patterns or structures out of found sounds or other sounds, and also, which the Beastie Boys do really well, is a sneaky sort of peek into some of their influences and some of their cultural references as well, particularly when they include vocals as part of the scratching. This wasn't DJ Shadow, but it was really good. And so the song again continues in a fairly simple way, and I say with his laid back voice, it just put you all completely at ease and relaxed. And I thought the scratching and the sampling got really interesting again around the 4 minute mark. And I felt that it was just starting to find its feet into develop into something which actually was pretty different and was growing into something. And then the song petered out, which is a real shame. I thought another couple of minutes of that would have been absolutely fine in my book. I know not everybody, but I'm the odd one. I know. But then the sound peters out, and it just left that synth sound that sounded like a wonky toy car siren type thing.
Yeah.
Which again, I enjoy. I have to make sure that I'm not distant. These are not disses. These are pluses in my head. So yeah, overall, I didn't catch a lick of what he said, to be fair, because I was off floating as well. I thought this was real mood piece for me, and I just really liked it wash over me. I did get the impression that he wasn't happy with how someone treated him. There was something about embarrassment, something else, but there was also quite a feeling of lethargy to his delivery. And I have to assume that was either stylized or definitely intentional anyway. But I don't know if it's content driven or just his feel. But overall, I really enjoyed this, and I really enjoyed the vibe to it as well. And it
Yeah.
was just a lovely little slice, that sort of took me back sort of 25 years sort of thing
Yeah.
to a really
Yeah.
cool time as well. That's the kind of the vibe I got out of it.
That makes sense to me. Yeah, I know that we've talked about some
You're going to
bands
say now it's
that-
2019 or something, aren't you?
No,
You're
no,
on
no,
the
no,
right
no,
tit.
no, no, no. You're right. You're right in the wheelhouse. Yeah, we've talked about some bands. Hell, some bands have featured on this channel that I think these guys are akin to, or have a similar vibe to them. I don't know. There's some like massive attacky kind of stuff to these guys, to their music. They also I think of Depeche Mode when I
All
listen
right.
to their stuff a lot as well. So, and then you've brought up some comparisons too that I never really invested too much thought in, but I think you're not off the mark in your correlations, the Beastie Boys and that whole side of things. So good call on that. Yeah. God Lives Underwater. They are, or I should say, were an American rock band formed during 1993 in Pequomenville, Pennsylvania, which is a very oddly named area. It's like a suburb outside of the Philadelphia region. And they
Right.
were formed by vocalist programmer David Riley and guitarist programmer Jeff Turzo. Their sound has been described as industrial rock, electronic rock, techno, and experimental. They were later joined by guitarist Andrew McGee and drummer Adam Carey, who was replaced by Scott Garrett in 1998. Riley and Turzo had attended the same high school together in that suburb of Pennsylvania. And after graduation, the duo decided to form a band which had electronica and industrial influences. Eventually, they named the act God Lives Underwater. Big hit with you, that name. David Riley had recorded various home demos in the late 1980s and the early 1990s, as he handled the vast majority of the vocals and instruments on his own. Jeff Turzo was a studio engineer and has created remixes and assisted in the studio for artists such as Pop's Cool Love and Fishbone, among others. So after recording a self-titled EP in late 1993 and self-distributing it the following year, the band signed to Rick Rubin's label, American Recordings. And Riley and Terzo then decided to transform their project into a full-fledged band. Thus, they added the aforementioned Adam Carey and guitarist Andrew McGee into the lineup. And American then gave God Lives Underwater a proper national release in January of '95. It gained coverage in various publications, and it peaked at 82 on CMJ's Radio Top 150 chart. During the first half of 1995, God Lives Underwater went on a national tour. At a June show in Rochester, New York, Riley had attempted to hype up the fans in attendance, and numerous people then started to throw objects at security guards and police officers, and the officers ended up using pepper spray on the audience. Carey was physically assaulted and maced while Riley was arrested, and he spent the night in a local jail along with a dozen other fans. He's later charged with a misdemeanor for inciting a riot. He pled guilty and was sentenced to 40 hours of community service. So, these guys are known for putting on quite the live act.
But that would have absolutely cemented him in his fan base.
Oh,
I mean, legend.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
bloke.
Spending the night in
40
jail with
hours.
a dozen of your fans. Yeah, at the very genesis point of your popularity. Yeah, not a bad way to get things started. Later that same year, the band released the full-length album Empty, and it peaked at number 83 on CMJ's Top 200 chart. God Lives Underwater initially embarked on a tour of the U.S. with KMFDM, and they followed it with a tour of Europe with Filter. Afterwards, they headlined their own tour throughout the U.S. and then opened for Space Hog, who's appeared on the channel. After a show in Florida, God Lives Underwater was kicked off Space Hog's tour. God Lives Underwater claimed that they were drawing more fans and selling more merch than Space Hog, which led to the majority of the attendees leaving prior to Space Hog's performance. However, Space Hog claimed that God Lives Underwater fans were far too violent and had caused too much trouble during the shows. Now, at this point, there's history to imply that perhaps Space Hog's assertion is right. I don't want to pick sides on this.
Or perhaps they chose that assertion because of the history.
Yes, yeah, exactly. They latched onto it and said, we can run with this. Y'all have a history. God Lives Underwater then signed with A&M Records and released Life in the So-Called Space Age in 1998. It became the band's best-selling effort as it peaked at number 6 on Billboard's Heatseekers chart and number 137 on the Billboard 200 chart. Its lead single, From Your Mouth, appeared on Billboard's Modern Rock charts at number 17 and on R&R's Alternative Top 50 chart at number 18. Ned Raggett of AllMusic wrote of their influences, rather than simply cloning Depeche Mode's own style in the fashion of bands like Camouflage, the integration of that approach with God Lives Underwater's own murky rock is even better than before. Mark Weingarten of Entertainment Weekly wrote, whether it is a Ween-like exercise in genre parody or an earnest effort is debatable, but either way, it's good, weird fun. Also in 1998, God Lives Underwater was at the helm of the Depeche Mode tribute album For the Masses. They had kickstarted the project and had recorded a cover of Fly on the Windscreen for the compilation. Other artists that were brought in for the compilation include The Cure, Failure, The Smashing Pumpkins, Gus Gus, Veruca Salt, Dishwalla, Meat Beat Manifesto, Monster Magnet, Apollo 440, Deftones, Rammstein, Rabbit in the Moon, Self, Locust, and Hooverphonic. The compilation eventually peaked at number 69 on the Billboard 200 chart. From 2001 to 2003, God Lives Underwater was mostly inactive, as band members pursued different projects. And after a period of internal issues and label shifts, the band's final album was released in 2004, Up Off the Floor, and it was released by Spanish label Locomotive Music. They had bought the rights to release God Lives Underwater's completed album. They had reportedly paid the band upfront exclusively to release it. It was a rushed release with various mistakes in the liner and omitted 2 songs from the era that were meant for the album. Also, the albums itself was not sourced from the master recordings. Thus, the volume
Hmm.
and the mix was lowered, and the quality suffered as a result. Rushed things don't work out. So after a troublesome release of Up Off the Floor, God Lives Underwater remained on hiatus. The following year, Riley decided to embark on a solo career once again. In June 2005, Riley signed to Rough Nation Records, which was a division of the major label Universal Records. He also began collaborating and recording new material centered around the death of his fiancee with former Spiritualized guitar player Greg Hale. A few months later, Riley died on October 16th. He was 34. It was later discovered that he had died due to an untreated tooth infection. Can you think of that? Like, of all the fucking things to take you down, like an ignored tooth ailment was enough to bring him down. That's crazy. Um, just really, really weird. And in 2006, Turzo formed the band Wired All Wrong with Matt Mahaffey of the band Self, a band that we've covered on this channel. They both bonded over the loss of their former bandmates, as Matt Mahaffey's brother, Mike Mahaffey, also of Self, had died in May of 2005. Yeah, really, another one of those acts that burned ferociously for a short period of time and then fizzled out because of record label bullshit, and then this weird passing of the founding member due to some sort of
Yeah.
bacterial probably thing or something that happened as a result of this tooth infection. But yeah, hell of a way to go out. Let's jump into these lyrics. So sometimes life's not fair. I correct myself. I mean all the time. I feel like complaining, but it only bothers you. The things I do, they make your blood run cold. There's a lot of things that no one likes, but I want the answers now. Must be all confused somehow. Did you say what I heard about? I've heard a million things. Gossip's been sent to me. I don't want to believe it until I hear it from your mouth. Tell me why you are friendly to my face. Why I mean it, what I mean is barely nice. When I'm not around, hear you like to put me down. Embarrassment is what I get. There's a lot of things that no one likes, but I want the answers now. Must be all confused somehow. Did you say what I heard about? I've heard a million things. Gossip's been sent to me. I don't want to believe it until I hear it from your mouth. We get this like sort of instrumental interlude. Um, I want the answers now. Must be all confused somehow. Did you say what I heard about? I heard a million things. Gossip's being sent to me. I don't want to believe it until I hear it. I want the answers now. Must be all confused somehow. But did you say what I heard about? I've heard a million things. Gossip's being sent to me. I don't want to believe it until I hear it from your mouth. So yeah, I think this is clearly about like someone, whoever they are, whatever the relationship dynamic is between him and who he's speaking about. This sort of like backstabby, talking behind one's back, and not wanting to believe it until you actually hear it from the horse's mouth. Something pretty universal that I think people can relate to. But I don't know who the object is of his scorn here in the lyrics, but it's an interesting song. And yes, there's all this musically, this kind of room to breathe and let it all wash over you, and you just sort of like get sucked up into it, like you had kind of so eloquently described when you gave me a synopsis of your experience listening to it. So that's why I chose it. And I'm glad you liked it, man. There's some other really good stuff by these guys off those first couple albums, but it's just unfortunate that they didn't get the time to kind of regroup
Yeah.
and refocus and put out a third, fourth, and fifth album to the standard that they would have wanted to, I'm sure. So,
Mm.
but yeah, thanks so
That's
much
a
for giving
shame.
this one a listen, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, I enjoyed it. It's a lovely little like a slice of that sort of thing, you know.
Yeah, and like you called it, it's very much a mood piece. I would completely agree with that, wholeheartedly. So, guys out there in the listening audience, let us know what you think of From Your Mouth and God Lives Underwater. Other stuff that it either reminded you of or stuff by them that we should check out. Whatever you want to add and contribute, please drop in the comments field below. We love interacting with you guys. hearing what you all have to say about the choices that we make, and then taking in some of the choices that you serve up to us. It's all quite symbiotic. We really do appreciate you guys. Also, while we have your attention, one more favor: like, share, and subscribe if you would be so inclined. It really does help us push out our product. It's not really a product because products you make money off of, and there's no commerce when it comes to this, just dedication to the craft of music, writing music, dissecting music, and discussing music. So please help us with that. It really is appreciated by both of us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And hopefully on the next episode of the Audiophiles, John and I will see more and more of y'all. So take care and be well. See you later, guys.